Mortal nature. People always think that reminding themselves of God will make them spiritual. Not at all. If you keep thinking or believing in God, you will not do your job properly. But you think you will produce good results. You will not study for your exam and you think you will be first in class because of your prayer. Such people become more brazen than others about life because now they have God's support. Always, people who believed in God is with them have done the most violent things on the planet. God is with me gives you a new confidence, which is very dangerous. If you think of God this way, you will not become spiritual. You will actually become very brazen and stupid. Once it happened, there were two young boys, very energetic boys in neighborhood. Usually, when young boys are very energetic, they are in constant trouble. The same happened with these boys also. The parents were very embarrassed by them because the entire community was discussing their children. So, not knowing what to do, they decided to take them to the local parish priest to correct them. Because the boys would be too strong to handle together, the parents decided to take them to priest separately. They took the younger boy first, made him sit down in the priest's office, and left. The priest walked in with his long robes and walked up and down the room a few times with a grave face. The boy sat there, his eyeballs doing the ping pong act. As he walked up and down, the priest worked out a strategy. He thought, if I remind this boy that God is within him, all his mischief will go. So he dramatically stopped mid stride and with a booming voice asked the boy, where's God? The boy looked bewildered. He started looking all around because he thought God must be somewhere in the priest's office. The priest saw that the boy was not getting the point. Thinking that he should give him a little clue that God is within him, the priest leaned on the table and pointing at the little boy boomed again, where is the God? The boy looked even more bewildered and looked under the table. The priest saw that the boy was still not getting it. So he walked around, came close to him, and tapping on the little boy's chest, boomed again, where is God? The boy now got up and bolted out of the room. He ran to where his elder brother was and said, we are in real trouble. The elder brother asked why. What happened? He said they have lost their God and they think we did it. Thinking about God, you will think that you can do idiotic things in your life, and with a prayer, everything will be fixed. This is not becoming spiritual. It is only when you become conscious that you will also die, you will turn in spiritual. Only when this awareness of mortality seeps into you, you will turn inwards. The moment you address the mortal nature of who you are, you will also want to know what the sources of this life is. You will develop the longing to know what this is all about and what is beyond this thing. It will become a natural quest. That is the spiritual process. No one would seek spirituality if they did not know that they would die. When you're young, you think you're immortal. Slowly, as you get older, at least your body definitely reminds you that you are mortal. And when you're faced with death or death of someone dear to you, you'll surely begin to wonder what all this is about. If you are aware of the mortal nature of your life, where it is the time to get angry with someone or to quarrel with someone or to do anything stupid in life, once you come to terms with the death and you're conscious that you will die, you will want to make every moment of your life as beautiful as possible. Those who are constantly aware of the mortal and fragile nature of existence do not want to miss even a single moment. They'll naturally be aware. They cannot take anything for granted. They will live very purposefully. Only people who believe they are immortal can fight and fight to death. In the Indian tradition, cremation grounds are always held to be very sacred. When someone dies, even if it is someone that you do not know, it hits you somewhere. In any genuine spiritual practice, there is always the smell of death. If you go deep enough into it, it will remind you that you are mortal. Whatever sadhana we have been teaching you, whether it is Shunya or Shakti Chalana or Shambhavi Mahamudra, even more so with Samyama, essentially there's a tinge of death in it. If there is no tinge of death in it, there is no spirituality. It is just entertainment. If someone taught you a superficial lala practice, it may make you feel good, but there's nothing more to it. Traditionally, every yogi started his spiritual pursuit in the cremation grounds. In fact, many masters have used this as a spiritual process. Gautama, the Buddha, made it compulsory for his monks. Before he initiated anyone who came to him, he asked them to go and sit in the busiest cremation ground for 3 months, just watching the corpses burning. Even today, if you go to Manikarnika Ghat in Varanasi, a minimum of half dozen bodies will be burning there at any given time, and it is handled like a normal business very casually. These days, there's not enough time for them to fully burn the body because even before one body is fully burned, the next body has already come. So they throw this half burned body into the river. It is actually very good for you to see that this is how people are going to treat you also one day. When I was young, I had no knowledge of all this, but from the age of 8 to 17, I happened to spend an enormous amount of time in the cremation ground. It simply intrigued me. Everyone talked about so many eerie things happening there. I had heard stories that spirits hang upside down from trees. I wanted to see these things for myself, so I spent many days and nights in the cremation grounds. There was one very close to our home and another at the foothills of Chamundi Hills. The one at Chamundi Hills was very busy. Anytime you went there, there would be at least 4 or 5 bodies burning. Whenever I went trekking, I spent the nights there because the hill would be cold. But here there was a fire burning all the time. So I would sit by the fire and simply watch the burning. There was also a lot of drama that used to happen around the pyre. Usually, when people come with a body to the cremation ground, they're all crying like they have lost everything in the life and all that. Then they set fire to the body, they stay there for half an hour or 45 minutes, and then they leave. The fire is still burning, but they leave. Probably they have other business to attend to. But I would sit there, watching. If you've carefully observed a body being burned on a pyre, the first thing that burns up is the neck because it's narrow. When this happens, unless they have made a large and proper arrangement of firewood, the half burned head invariably rolls off the pyre like a football. It looks a little airy, a head rolling off the pyre. Probably because firewood is expensive or because they do not have sufficient experience in arranging a proper pyre. This used to happen often. It would happen after 3.5 to 4 hours of burning. By that time, no relatives would be present, so I'd be the one to pick up the heads and put them back on the pyre. I spent many days and nights in the cremation grounds just sitting and looking and helping these bodies burn fully. It set forth a completely different kind of process in me. I know you'd want to avoid this, but it is good to sit down and watch the bodies burning continuously. Living in the comfort of your house, it is very easy to think you are immortal. But when a body is burning in front of you, it is not very difficult to see that this could be you tomorrow. Mentally and emotionally, there may also be reactions, but the most important thing is that your body perceives life in its own way. The sight of another body burning deeply unsettles it. It brings a different kind of awareness and senses within you. Many things that you have imagined about yourself will all get burned in the cremation ground if you sit there and keep watching what happens. When you're watching the bodies burn, you should not think about it. Simply look at it. Just look at it and look at it and look at it. After some time, you'll see it is just you. It is not any different. It is your own body. Once you can replace that body with yours and still sit there, there's a deep acceptance of depth. This is not a psychological process. When your very body perceives the fragility of its existence, there's a very profound relief and acceptance. Once there's a deep acceptance of death, then life will happen to you in enormous proportions. It is only because you tried to keep death away, life has also stayed away from you. This is why almost every yogi spent a significant amount of time in the cremation grounds at some point or the other in his life.